Ambassador Zalthek's four eyes widened in disbelief as the human shuttle descended through what could only be described as a wall of fire. The Xerion diplomat had witnessed many impossible things during his centuries of galactic service, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. "Are you certain this vessel is functioning properly?" Zalthek asked, his translator crackling with static from the electromagnetic interference surrounding them. Captain Sarah Chen smiled, her hands steady on the controls as ribbons of plasma danced across the viewport. "Welcome to Infernus Prime, Ambassador. Population, 12 million humans and counting." The shuttle broke through the Firestorm's lower boundary, and Zalthek gasped. Below them stretched a magnificent city, its crystalline towers reaching upward like frozen flames. Protective energy barriers shimmered around massive residential districts, while industrial complexes channeled the raw fury of the perpetual firestorm into gleaming conduits that disappeared into the city's heart. "Impossible," Zalthek whispered. The Galactic Council's xenobiological surveys determined that no known species could survive in a Class 9 firestorm environment. The temperature variations alone would liquefy most organic matter. Captain Chen touched down on a landing platform that materialized from what appeared to be solid rock. "That's the thing about humans, Ambassador. We don't just survive impossible conditions, we thrive in them." As they disembarked, Zalthek marveled at the ingenious architecture surrounding them. The buildings weren't fighting the firestorm. They were dancing with it. Thermal collectors crowned every structure, converting the endless heat into power. Atmospheric processors filtered the superheated gases into breathable air, while magnetic field generators shaped the plasma flows to create stunning aerial displays. Governor Marcus Webb met them at the platform, his environmental suit a marvel of human engineering. Unlike the bulky protective gear other species required in extreme environments, this suit was sleek and form-fitting, equipped with adaptive cooling systems and miniaturized force field projectors. "Ambassador Zalthek," Governor Webb extended a gloved hand. "We're honored to host the first official Galactic Council delegation to Infernus Prime." "Governor Webb," Zalthek managed, still processing what he was seeing. "I must ask why. Why would humans choose to live in such conditions when there are millions of habitable worlds available?" Webb's eyes gleamed with the particular intensity Zalthek had learned to associate with human ambition, because no one else could. Because it was here. Because the firestorms contain rare elements that exist nowhere else in the galaxy. He gestured toward the towering cityscape. And because we discovered something remarkable about ourselves in the process. They walked through transparent tunnels that offered spectacular views of the firestorm's fury. Children played in parks where the sky was a constantly shifting canvas of orange, red, and gold. Artists had learned to incorporate the plasma flows into their sculptures, creating masterpieces that would be impossible on any other world. The Vorthak Empire spent 2 centuries trying to establish mining operations here, Webb explained as they passed a massive industrial complex. They lost 17 expeditions before declaring the planet uninhabitable. The crystalline Yith considered it for 30 years before concluding the risks were too great. "And humans?" Zalthek asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "The first human colony ship arrived 18 months after initial surveys. We've been here for 67 years. Now." Webb paused at an observation deck where families gathered to watch the daily fire dance, a natural phenomenon where competing firestorms created spectacular aerial displays. "We learned to read the storm patterns to predict the thermal cycles. We developed new alloys that actually grow stronger in extreme heat. We created atmospheric processors that don't just filter the air, they improve it." Zalthek observed a group of human children playing a game that involved catching small plasma sprites in specialized containers. On his homeworld, such creatures would be considered lethal hazards. Here they were pets. "The galaxy has 12,000 habitable worlds," Zalthek said slowly. "But only one Infernus Prime." "Exactly." Webb led him to the city's central spire, where massive displays showed production figures that made even Galactic Council economists take notice. "We're not just surviving here, Ambassador. We're producing rare elements at rates that exceed the combined output of 6 star systems. Our atmospheric processors have revolutionized terraforming technology. Our thermal conversion systems are being adapted for use on ice worlds and desert planets throughout human space." They reached the spire's apex, where a magnificent chamber offered a 360-degree view of the Firestorm city. Zalthek watched families going about their daily lives against a backdrop that would have been considered apocalyptic on any other world. Human adaptability was legendary throughout the galaxy, but this transcended adaptation. This was transformation. The Galactic Council has always wondered what makes humans so persistent, Zalthek mused. You colonize worlds others abandon. You thrive in conditions that would challenge the most advanced AI systems. You find opportunity in impossibility. Captain Chen, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. It's not that we're immune to fear, Ambassador. We feel it just as acutely as any species. The difference is what we do next, which is, we build something beautiful anyway. As if summoned by her words, the daily thermal cascade began, a natural phenomenon where the Firestorm's layers synchronized, creating a breathtaking display of colors and patterns across the entire sky. The citizens of Infernus Prime stopped their activities to watch, children pointing in delight at formations that would have terrified most galactic species. Zalthek recorded everything, knowing his report would be met with skepticism until the council members saw the evidence themselves. Humans hadn't just survived in an environment deemed uninhabitable, they had created one of the most prosperous colonies in known space. We'll be expanding soon, Governor Webb mentioned casually. There's a Class 10 Firestorm system in the next sector that shows promise. Zalthek's four eyes widened again. Class 10? But those are considered absolutely impossible to approach, let alone inhabit. Captain Chen grinned. That's what they said about Class 9 storms. As their shuttle prepared to depart, Zalthek took one final look at the impossible city below. The galaxy had learned to expect the unexpected from humans, but Infernus Prime represented something more profound, proof that the only true limits were the ones species imposed on themselves. The humans had looked at a firestorm and seen not destruction but possibility. They had faced the impossible and made it home, and somehow Zalthek suspected this was only the beginning.